You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us.
Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
Fans, we got a full show for you today. A little NFL, a little college football, a little baseball. But first, Danny, right into the NFL, man. Week 3 of the NFL was upon us, came and gone. And a lot of learnings in week 3, man. Green Bay Packers goes into Tennessee, gets the dub 30-14. And the Packers continue to impress, particularly Malik Willis, where he has 6 carries for 73 yards to the touchdown. But he does it in the air as well, 13 for 19, 202 yards, touchdown. Did get sacked 3 times, but that is nothing compared to what the Packers defense did on the Tennessee Titans O-line. 8 sacks in total for the Packers defense. 2 interceptions. What a day for the Green Bay Packers, a full game that they played, 30-14. They go to 2-1. Big game next week against the Minnesota Vikings, and where the Minnesota Vikings actually kind of surprised me in the romping, the whipping that they put on the Houston Texans, man, 34-7. Didn't see that one coming, Danny. Diggs catches 10 passes for 94 yards. C.J. Stroud for the Texans, 20 for 31, 215 yards in the touchdown. Nonetheless, man, I did not see this coming, 34-7, and Vikings go to 3-0. This is huge for the NFC North division, this upcoming game, Packers and Vikings. The Lions goes to Arizona, beats up on them 20-13. NFC North division is going to be a beast. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And there was a couple games of note. Another game of note, I have to say, the Eagles-Saints. Eagles takes the crown here, 15-12 against the New Orleans Saints. Saquon Barkley rushes for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, kind of making up for the drop pass from last week. Man, Eagles go to 2-1. Saints go down to 2-1. Seems like the Eagles went ahead and put a little pressure on Derek Carr. Shout out to Xavier Smith of the LA Rams, Florida A&M Rattler, who on his first touch in the NFL has a critical punt return back here, 34 yards, puts the Rams in position to win the game. 27-24, beating the 49ers. I think the 49ers are in trouble, Danny. They have some injuries. Hargrave is out for the season due to triceps issues. Cowboys drop another one, 28-25 against the Ravens. It was 28-3. They tried to make a comeback, fell short. Another game of note, man. Last game for me, Danny, is that of the Commanders and the Bengals. Monday Night Football, doubleheader Monday Night Football. First game was about nothing. Bills whoop up on the Jaguars 47-10. Commanders, though, with just an amazing performance. Is he an up-and-coming star? Who knows? But Jaden Daniels goes 21 for 23. An NFL rookie record. 21 for 23 for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The Washington Commanders go into Cincinnati and drops the Bengals down to 0-3. Joe Burrow had an impressive game, 29 for 38, 324, 3 touchdowns. He had an impressive game, but I don't know what's going on with the Cincinnati Bengals defense. They're in trouble. Call the homies. They're in trouble. I don't know. You need to put APBB out on their defense. Something ain't right in Cincinnati. But I'll say those were the games of note for me, Danny. How about you on week 3 of the NFL?
I think, too, with the Bengals, man, it was so much off-season drama with them. with contracts that mentally, I think it's hard. They still need to adjust to what was going on. So defensively too, it wasn't just Chase and T. Higgins looking for contracts. Hendrickson from on the D line was looking for one as well. So I think all that drama is carried over into the regular season, and they just can't get over the hump, man. It was, and you look at the Chiefs game, that was a game they should have had. It was a PI at the end, or pass interference that cost them that game. And then last night, Jaden Daniels put on a show. Tell you one thing, man, Jaden Daniels needs to slide.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if you saw Dan Quinn celebrate when he did slide last night, but because he's not a big dude.
Mm-mm.
And he took a big hit in that game last night. So he has to watch that and protect himself because he doesn't want to fall into what happened with RG3, who was quarterback in a similar situation, similar style. So he just protects himself because he gives him a great opportunity. McLaurin showed up last night too on some nice throws from Jane Daniels. So they're looking pretty good right now, but their defense is a lot to be desired as well. So they're going to have to be in shootouts to win these games until Dan Quinn can get that defense under control. Got to go into my Falcons. Falcons Chiefs Sunday night prime time, and we took the L 22-17. But the Falcons, they're winning most of the game, and then at the end, came up short. I look at this game, and it's one of those games, man, that I want to see how they bounce back from because it was very emotional because they were toe to toe with the Chiefs, and that there was a call. I think this is 2 weeks in a row now from a Falcons fan perspective. There's been two pass interference calls, one in Philly and one on Kyle Pitts that I thought should have been called, where the DB didn't even turn around. He jumped right into Kyle. There's no way in the world Kyle Pitts was going to catch that ball. And that was a key play because he catches that ball, we take the lead. So then we had another opportunity where fourth down, third and fourth down, we try to run the ball. On a successful fourth down, we try to run the ball at Bijan. Instead of trying to run up the middle, we go out to the outside. So stretch the play out, and the Chiefs, they slam Bijan. Tough loss, man. I thought we had it, and now we move on to New Orleans. So we've had a tough stretch here, man, starting with the Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs, and now the Saints. But I think we can take a blueprint from Philadelphia and putting that pressure on Derek Carr and keeping everything contained in front of you, not letting Shaheed get past you. So, yeah, tough L, man, on Sunday Night Football, but proud of how they played. The defense stepped up, and just some unfortunate things going on in the red zone towards the end of that game in the fourth quarter. As far as other games are concerned, man, Seahawks are undefeated, and they actually play the Detroit Lions next week on Monday night. So speaking back to what you're talking about with the NFC North, that's a big game from a conference perspective with Seattle and Detroit facing off. So there's a lot of good games coming up this upcoming week, Jay. So looking forward to it again.
It's a lot of games. And speaking of which, I think one of the lesser known games, but the kind of highlight is the Cincinnati Bengals at Carolina Panthers. Panthers beat the Raiders with Andy Dalton starting, the first quarterback in the league to go over 300 yards with 3 touchdowns. And I'll say this, Danny, how interesting is it that we just talked about Jay Daniels being in a pretty good situation, pretty good O line compared to Bryce Young in Carolina, where he struggled, new coach, new everything, man. And this is only his second year?
Yep.
1 year in 2 games into his career, and he struggles. And Andy Dalton comes in and impresses. I don't know what that means for Bryce Young moving forward, man. Maybe he just needs to take a look from a different perspective at a veteran quarterback actually playing, and maybe taking some notes there. But we don't know how long he's gonna be on the bench.
And you remember last year, Jason, Bryce Young got hurt And who came in who won some game or played really well? Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton. So yeah.
So there's something to be said there where it's tough, man, because Bryce Young is a smaller dude too. And you don't know if his visibility, if he's not, it's a new offense. From that too. So he's learning a new offense. It's the second year with the new coach in town. So this may be a blessing in disguise. I know there's been some back and forth, but Andy Dalton came in and put it on the Raiders.
Let me ask you this, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in the front office of Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
would you trade Bryce Young?
Seeing what I've seen, I would strongly consider it.
Because
But the only,
he is running for his life out there.
I
Like,
know the only thing you got to think about too, though, is how much you gave up for him. So what's that sunk cost where you say, all right, this sunk cost, man, we just got to let this dude go and he needs to change scenery. Kind of like you think about Trey Lance from when he was drafted by the 49ers. It didn't jive. Now he's with the Cowboys sitting on the bench. But um, yeah, Bryce Young, just based on what we've seen to date, is not ready for prime time. I think he's one of those rookies that needs time to adjust to the game, and hopefully it pans out because some players get that advantage. Look at Jordan Young; he's had time, or Jordan Love, sorry, Jordan Love's had time, to adjust to the game. And there were times where he got put in where Rodgers was hurt, where everyone was like, "What is it? No, this ain't it."
Yeah, yeah.
So it takes time, and look at Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Minnesota. How long has he been in the league? And number of coaches. So some players just can't adjust. And Carolina, based on their talent level, from an offensive line perspective, is tough for him to. If you're running for your life and you're not processing, there's just too many things going on. It's a recipe for disaster.
But to that point, Chicago Bears, and granted, I'm not a Chicago Bears fan, but let's just be real. Look at Justin Fields in Pittsburgh right now versus Caleb Williams right now. I mean, I think it's just the organization and system. And I'm just wondering, Andy Dalton been in the league for 14 years or something like that? For a while. So he's seen it all for the most part. So I'm just kind of curious, man, how this is going to work for Bryce Young. I hope it works out for him. I don't know if it's going to be in a Carolina Panthers uniform, though.
And it doesn't help that Stroud, even though Stroud didn't play well this weekend,
right.
With Stroud always being like that cloud over him, because, Carolina could have took Stroud. So there's always that pressure, too, with the Texans are playing well. There's just all these factors involved with Bryce Young that I just haven't seen it yet, man. I think, honestly, he just needs to take a seat, and they just need to let Dalton play. And need to spell him and bring Dalton in, so be it. But because look how the Patriots are using Drake May. They're trying to allow him as out of the offensive line. If you saw that game on Thursday night against the Jets, Jacoby Brissett was running for his life. And so you don't want to put your rookie in that because there's a lot of investment involved. So let the veteran play as much as they can and let the rookies absorb as much as they can until, it's time let them unleash them.
And then on to college football, and where, to me, the big game of the weekend was that of Baylor Colorado game. And this was Colorado's homecoming game. And they were about to get they were about to take this L, but this last second Hail Mary saved them. Hail Mary catch in the end zone saves them to tie the game up. They go into overtime and they win 38-31 against Baylor. I think, honestly, man, this saves Colorado's season. This moves Colorado to 3-1. They need 3 more games to become bowl eligible, which is a step further than last year. I don't know if they're going to get it, but let me just tell you, man, Travis Hunter, 7 receptions for 130 yards, man. But more importantly, he does it on a defensive end, and where he saves the game for the Colorado Buffaloes with a tackle on the football right when Baylor was about to cross the goal line here. He hits the ball, fumbles, they fumble it out of bounds, game over. So Travis Hunter gets 7 receptions, 130 yards, plays both sides of the ball. To me, Danny, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. I think he'll be more so solidified if they make it into the bowl game.
They definitely
Here's
have
the question, though. Here's a question, though. Because you see, I've seen this trend over the past few years, in where those who are looking to go into the NFL, they don't play that last game, they don't play that bowl game for fear of getting injured, whatever the case may be. I'm wondering if Colorado Buffaloes, if they make it to the bowl game, if Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, if they play in that bowl game.
I don't think they would, just because of what you just mentioned. A lot of players do that. That's the bad part. Now, if they were in the tournament piece, like if they were to make it, the top 12 or whatever, then there may be a discussion, possibly. But I just think it's a business decision, put it like that.
Yeah. And quite interesting. Shedeur Sanders, 25 for 41, 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, throws the Hail Mary, or what some call Jesus Mary, Jesus pass, if you will. But Colorado escapes, Danny. Any other game, college football game of note here for you?
Well, Jay, I texted you that night on the Colorado game, man. Before the guy caught the Hail Mary, the play before, Colorado, actually, a different receiver, actually, it hit him in his hands, and he dropped it in the end zone, or right before the end zone. So this play may have happened to play before if the guy would have caught the ball. And it was actually an easier play than the one that they actually completed to take it to overtime. But it was just exciting. And like you said, Travis Hunter with that hit on that guy where he fumbled into the end zone was, man, that was a crazy tackle. But man, they escaped, and it was just cool to see, live. One other game I just wanted to highlight, Jay, was USC making his debut into the Big 18 or whatever you want to call it now, but Big 10, and they went to the Big House against Michigan. And you talk about a good game, man. It was back and forth, and Michigan pulled it out at the end. It was interesting to see USC in the Big 10. Because now Wisconsin goes to USC this upcoming weekend for a showdown on Saturday afternoon. So just seeing that was pretty cool. It was a good game, and Michigan showed them what Big Ten football is all about. Because the brother at the end was running all over him. But that was the other game just to call out there.
And just as you say that, man, I saw headlines that Reggie Bush files a lawsuit against USC and also against the NCAA. So more to come on that, man. But I think this is going to be something that opens the doors up for more athletes to file a lawsuit. And we're talking about name, image, likeness, NIL. Reggie Bush was definitely NIL before NIL became a thing. In terms of what we now know as NIL. Of course, there were Bano brothers back in UCLA basketball back in the day. They sued and won for name, image, likeness, if you will. But this with Reggie Bush is going to be something. I think this is paramount. I think you will see this trend. I think I can even see a class action lawsuit, quite frankly, coming down. That's just my opinion. We'll see what happens. But just as you talk about USC, Reggie Bush, definitely comes to mind here. I do have to call out one thing real quickly, Danny. Just as we talk about college football, my alma mater, FAMU, has hired a new VP, an athletic director, Angela Suggs. Saw a press conference yesterday. I'm so excited for um, the athletic department, but also for Angela Suggs, who was actually born at FAMU Hospital when FAMU Hospital was present on campus, and she went through FAMU High and went to FAMU and has done great things in the state of Florida. So looking forward to big things from her in the athletic department. She already has my support. So let's continue to strike Rattlers. And now, Danny, on to baseball, where the playoffs are upon us. But before the playoffs start, we have to talk about Ohtani, Danny. Ohtani goes for 50-50, man. I think he's at what, 53 now? 53 home runs, 53 so stolen
55
bases.
stolen bases.
Oh, my bad, 55 stolen bases, double nickel. And so, man, Ohtani does it, first player in baseball history to do it, man. You kidding me? So, Danny, we had this trading card scenario of Ohtani versus Aaron Judge. I think I picked Judge, you picked Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
I may want to flip my pick, man. I may want to flip my pick, man. Listen, man, I thought Judge was going to hit 60, man, but it don't look like that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to flip my pick. Nah, I'm sticking with Judge, but man, Ohtani does it, man. What say you about Ohtani?
Jason, if you remember back in the day when we started collecting cards, Jose Canseco, 40-40 club.
Mm-hmm.
And, Acuna did the 40-70 club,
Mm-hmm.
Acuna Jr. So just to see this, man, it's crazy impressive of what Ohtani's done, with all the stuff that started the season too, and all the allegations surrounding him and the guy that he was actually working with. For him to do that, and he's still dealing with his injury while he's not pitching, but he can bat, and he's playing DH, is crazy impressive. And he's also had a home run and stolen base in 14 straight games,
Mm-hmm.
which is a record. So just think about that, man, of what he's doing. It's a great accomplishment by Ohtani. They still have, 6 games left before the season ends. There's an outside shot. He can get to 60-60 because they actually have stuff to play for. It's not like that's the other thing of note here is if the Dodgers are destroying everybody, then Ohtani may not have played, right? So they actually had to play him, to keep from the seeding perspective, keep their positioning. So that's made this exciting. And the game he had last week with the 6 for 6 and 10 RBIs, whatever it was, craziness, where he actually got the record for 50-50 was an insane game, man. So just congratulations to him and the season he's had. And now we'll see how that translates into the playoffs.
And then just so we say that, man, so we said 6 games remaining. Brewers faces off against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 3-game series, and then ends up with the Nets. Oh, excuse me, the Mets. And Mets got something to play for here as well. I mean, this is going down the wire. Right now, the Brewers are in the 4th position, 1 game behind the San Diego Padres. If I'm not mistaken, the Padres have to play the Dodgers here as well. So this is all going I mean, we're talking about positioning at this juncture. So yeah, this is coming down to the wire here, Danny. And just as we are talking about, uh, these teams ending the season here, I've got to talk about your Oakland A's, Danny. Yes, they have been eliminated from playoff contention. But they do have the final series here in Oakland against the Texas Rangers. 3-game set, and this is the final 3 games. The owner has sent out a letter to the fans indicating an apology that they've done everything they could possibly do to stay in Oakland. They will go to the temporary digs would be in Sacramento and then ultimately to Vegas. But you talking about history, man. You talking about the World Series. You talk about the divisional championships and even getting into the conference championships, man. I mean, Oakland has a long history. Apparently, they had like 6 opportunities in the Oakland area to build an arena. It just didn't pan out. So, toodaloo to Oakland, Sacramento. Here we come on a temporary basis, and then here we come Vegas.
Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.